Okay, welcome, Carrie, to my startup podcast. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, thank you, Brendan, for having me today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's good to catch up with you. I know, as we were discussing just a minute ago off camera, I think it's been maybe a year and a half or so since we had first met at one of these New York Tech Networking events. So those events, they really do. It's good when those connections that you make at them last long term because a lot of times at these events it's easy to meet someone and then you don't follow up on them. So I'm glad that we're reconnecting now.
Yeah, that is so true. Believe me, since I started this journey over the last couple of years, my LinkedIn connection grew from 500 to 1,500. I
That's
met
great. Yeah.
many startup founders just like yourself. So yeah, it's great.
Awesome. Glad to hear that. Um, yeah, yeah, you have a very interesting startup product that you're working on, and we'll dive into that. It relates to mental health. But first, do you mind just telling me about your background? What led you to New York City? What led you into the startup space? And yes, more about yourself in general, so that we have some context.
Yeah, of course. I was born and raised in China. Then I came to this country, studied finance, and since then I actually been working finance almost the entire career. Um, Early in the career, I was more on the financial information technology and data business. At the time, I was, looking at all the U.S. mutual fund investment, the data information, the data side from the collections, modeling, labeling, classification, all the way to data integration to a billion-dollar trading platform. So the data business is actually in my blood.
Yeah.
So after that was at the time I was looking at the investment ecosystem, 5,000 the U.S. mutual funds. Then after that, I actually switched side, get into investment manager business.
Okay.
I work in an investment firm midtown in New York City for about 10 years. And I was on the business side, worked at the intersection of institutional marketing and the product management, development, support asset class across the spectrum from equities, fixed income, commodities, digital assets, ETFs, mutual funds. Um, so it was more on the business side, and we support the institutional sales and business development to grow assets AUM. I remember when I joined the company at the time, it was about 50 billion or 60 billion. Nowadays, I think the company grew the assets to 180 billions. Uh, yeah, so the experience really, on the business side in the investment firm really got me the opportunity to see the revenue mechanics, the sales marketing, the positioning and the differentiation. And I learned, good product is not enough. You have to know how to position it clearly and communicate the values properly to the buyers, especially the sophisticated buyers, institutional clients. So yeah, from the big data background to the investment side, so both, the experience I feel incredible. And until about 2 years ago, I started this journey, decided to create my own business.
Well, that's great. Yeah, no, I have several questions. I'll start off with so what part of China did you grow up in? I used to have some Chinese roommates, so I'm somewhat familiar with some cities, but yeah, what area?
Awesome. So I come from the east coast of China. I from the city is called Suzhou. I don't know if you know. It is Suzhou and another city called Hangzhou. They are called the heaven in China. Yeah, it's about an hour by drive from Shanghai. Um, Shanghai is also where I went to for a graduate school as well. So yeah, my whole life in at the East Coast area.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've heard of the second city you mentioned, Hangzhou. Is that the right way to?
Hmm.
Yeah. And I think my roommates back freshman year of college lived not too far away. They were in Ningbo and Changzhou.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I have some familiarity. I haven't been there yet, but one day. Um,
Hmm.
that's great though. And then did you always know that you wanted to at some point come to the US, or is that just it happened to you happen to be inspired by something later on?
So first of all, by the way, Hangzhou is the headquarter where Alibaba is.
Oh, it is. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, for me, I would say it's really just the universe took me to this country, just like most of the people, they came here for the school and they studied, and that's I'm just one of them.
Gotcha. Got it. And yeah, so you mentioned all of these financial instruments that you're working with, all of this data analytics in the finance industry. Did you ever consider going into fintech first? Because I often face like, oh, should I, because I also have a fintech background.
Mhm.
Do I double down on fintech or do I do something else? I decided to go a different direction. But how about yourself? How'd you make that decision?
That's a good question. So, first of all, my passion for the finance industry is a lot. I definitely want to, have the opportunity if I can work in a startup in the fintech, that would be great. In terms of creating a fintech business, I thought about this before. However, I feel the challenge is very, is too much for me to manage. Fintech business typically require a lot of technology, right? And the data as well. Also, in general, I will say, finance industry is a very how to say sophisticated industry, deep
Yeah.
water. It's very difficult. I think that the barriers of entry is pretty high
Yeah.
compared to the digital health that I'm doing right now. I think the barriers are a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's the same conclusion that I came to. It just seemed too tough to break your way into like having one of these big banks as your customers or even to have like a smaller institution as a customer because the big banks are creating their own software now and it competes with you. So yeah, it seems very tough to get a foothold as you said.
Hmm.
Um and then you also mentioned that a lot of the market analysis skills that you learned in finance helped you uh, come up with your startup idea. I'm curious to learn more about that because I know that Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, he also came from fintech and he was assigned that work at his job at a quantitative hedge fund called DE Shaw to look at a
Hmm.
series of different products or markets to see like what products will perform well. And then that's when he saw the internet, e-commerce, and that's when he quit and started Amazon. So I'm just curious, was there something that you saw, like trends that you saw, or you just use that skill set, the analytical skill set to figure out what kind of company to start?
I would say it's a combination. Okay.
Yeah.
So when that I actually also learned from a lot of other startup founders as well. You always want to see what resources you are available if you want to start your business. What kind of skills or experience you can bring into the startup business. So first of all, I created this business idea is based on my own user experience. So I'm in the digital health, specifically mental health. Okay, so I've been a mental health counseling user for a quite amount of time, and so based on my own user experience, I found this issue. Then I decided I want to fix it, and it happens to be. The platform or the business that I create for to fix this issue, I can utilize my background. And one is definitely the research skills, right? Uh, Through the past experience working in the finance, a lot of my research is very top down. uh, from the macro, then gradually to the bottom. So I'm very enjoy doing research at the macro level, the industry trends, the sectors, etc. So first of all, after I researched into the mental health care business, I just find that there is a tremendous opportunities in the mental health space. It's a relatively young sector compared to many other sectors in the healthcare industry, right? So the growth, the room for growth is huge. We are just, at the beginning of this uh, industry, at the very beginning, actually. So that's how I love, an industry has a growth opportunity. That's the first. So then second, I also researched, for me as I'm a professional from the data background, I'm very sensitive to the quality of the data. What is the resource of the data? Who provided this data? What is audience the data that derived from, right? So these are the key information or that are the evidence that I make decision on. So during my own research, I also spend quite amount of time collect information directly through questionnaire from the user end. Then I learned, these are firsthand information, not just Google or ChatGPT research to tell me
Yeah.
the percentage, the numbers. It's not convincing to me. So
Yeah.
that's how, so after the research as well as my own user experience, I decided to get into this business. And long term, I want to build this business is more of a infrastructure, mental health infrastructure, powered by data intelligence and AI technology.
Yeah. Yeah, as you mentioned, mental health is something that, or a space that is just starting to get momentum in a tech space. I've heard that from other people as well. So it definitely seems like a promising space to start a company in. And I guess maybe that's because of there's always been the stigma around talking about mental health, right? And maybe that itself stunted people starting companies to help it. Because if people won't aren't willing to talk about it or admit that there is an issue, then what are the chances that they'll try out a product? So yeah, maybe that's related there. But yeah, so as you mentioned, you're starting a product to help people with mental health. Do you mind just taking me through how what exactly the product is and how it works?
Sure. Um, As I mentioned, I've been using mental health counseling or therapy for a while. Working in the finance industry, I found that this industry was, you probably feel the same way, is performance driven, very competitive, right? So in a high performing industry environments, typically they ignore the emotional infrastructure. A lot of us choose, sleep on it, not deal with it, let it go, right? Until it builds up and starts affecting on our work life or health well-being, right? So that's how, I'm a very proactive person. I like to manage my work life, including health. I'm not I'm not afraid of those stigma. I can
Right.
openly talk about mental health. So that's how first I reached out to a therapist about like 10 years ago. Oftentimes the topics is always talking about the work, the stress. I would say they are all external environment triggered issues, the emotions. Then I found this problem when I needed the help the most. If I have a small crisis, I got into a big fight with a coworker in a small crisis, then I need the help the most. I couldn't find therapists.
Hmm.
We all know typically we have to schedule ahead of time for appointment, right? So that was quite frustrating. If I wait for 7 days to talk to a therapist, I probably don't even remember clearly those subtle moments and emotions that 7 days ago. So this is really a big issue. So when I was looking for, help, and then I dig into that, I found um, like our how to say the healthcare, the mental health care, we typically use like once a week. Right? Each session, 45 minutes to 60 minutes, that kind of a thing. Once a week, 45 minutes to 15 minutes session. This is not a clinical practice. It's actually the standards set up by insurance companies. It is the insurance reimbursement practice standards.
I
So, yeah, so the care time delivery time frame is not built based on what we need. It's built for the convenience of the insurance company managing their own business. So that's
Sure.
how I decided to fix the problem. So back to, human emotions and mental health, we have actually a relatively very small window we want to proactively to manage it, right? Like I said, if it happened 7 days ago, we just probably, just leave it, then drop it off, leave it without treated. So that's how we focus on the on-demand, the immediate treatment. You get help when you need it. That's the first thing. The second thing is a lot of the mental health infrastructure out there you can find. We see a lot of deep treatment, the long-term therapy sessions, 6 to 1 year, that kind of time frame. Then facility treatment centers, right? Then psychiatry medications. Most of the infrastructure out there, they actually built, you know, for the severe mental illness. However, if you look at the whole population, let's say in the US, we have less than 5% of the population suffering from severe mental illness. Most of us are just struggling with the life stress, like what I just mentioned, from your job, your relationship, your parenting. All these are mostly triggered by the external environment, right? We might not need heavy doses to treat those symptoms. Why not? Let's just use microdose. We use a micro intervention approach to deliver the therapy. Okay. And you can get the treatment in the moment when you need it. You also don't have any commitment, into a long treatment. If you feel better today, you don't have to come back tomorrow. But if you need it tomorrow again, welcome back. You don't have to wait for 7 days. So it's a very flexible business model for the users. That's what we deliver.
Yeah, yeah, I love both ideas of doing the therapy right after, or yeah, right after you have the incident, because that way, and I feel like this relates to what you were saying before about how you're a data-oriented person, and you want to make sure that you have good data, because if it's a week later, then the person's going to have bad memory of what happened, right? And that's kind of like bad data. So maybe there's a
Mhm.
bit of a connection right there. But yeah,
Yeah.
and on the second point, about yeah getting the issues while they're small, I mean that makes a lot of sense. Why wait until like a mental health issue becomes a major chronic mental health issue? Get it right away, and then that way it's not like anything in medicine or in health, it's always easier to prevent something than to treat it once it gets bad. So it makes a lot of sense to me to nip it in the bud while you have a bad day, a bad incident, and not let that accumulate into something worse. So I think that's a good strategy there. Are you partnering with anyone in order to roll out this product? I know I saw on your website that you're working with maybe some companies. Maybe it's something that companies can bundle with their insurance plan that they offer or their wellness benefits. Is that the main strategy for deploying your product?
So our business right now, by nature, it is a B2B2C business
Okay.
through payers. And right now, we only focus on the employers as a payer. we do not take insurance at the moment unless insurance company can give a very good hourly rate to our therapist. Uh, so yeah, so it's a B2B2C structure right now because we are still a very young startup. And I've been building this business right now about 2 years. I'm still a solo founder, although I've been supported by a group of advisors, um, helping me with the different aspect of the business. So far, we've been piloting. We are in a piloting mode. For example, we work with this gaming studios and help the gaming professionals who typically experience a lot of mental health in this
Right.
industry. Yeah, so we're very excited about trying to build our business focus on starting with a particular industry, those high performing industry, while the professionals also having a lot of stress, such as gaming, finance, legal, healthcare, tech industry. So
Right.
yeah, so this is where we are.
Great. And is your application, is it technically considered a health app? What I mean is it does it need to be HIPAA compliant, or are you more keeping it in the wellness category, which I've heard some people say is a good method to avoid having to jump through the hoops of HIPAA compliance. Which route have you taken?
We are a healthcare business. It's
Okay,
not a
yeah,
wellness. Yes.
gotcha, gotcha.
So yeah, we only work with licensed therapists.
Licensed therapist, gotcha,
Mhm.
got it. Great. And did you have a mentor that got you into this space, or that helped you when you first decided to start a company, that kind of guided you through the startup world, or the mental health world?
Um, I would say yes and no. Instead of having one mentor, like consistently working with myself, I actually work with different people. First of all, I guess it's I would love to have a mentor, consistently work with me on a daily basis, but
Yeah.
it's very difficult to find. People always have a very, busy schedule. So rather, I work with different people for different aspects of the business. Like I said, I have a group of advisors. I have a tech advisors. Mel, he used to work for Uber, NVIDIA, now the healthcare business Noom. And I have research advisors specifically on the emotion side, emotional research. From Princeton University, I have a psychiatrist. I have advisor from the business development partnership, as well as other different area of the business, legal, etc. So yeah, so I would say it's more about going to the right person for the right aspect of the business, the topic. Also, I frequently speak with uh, investors. Uh, Especially, I enjoy the conversations with um, investors, since my business early stage, those investing early stage investors to see their perspective. It's also a great resource where I can learn the industry trends, some insights, right? And I also found the conversations extremely helpful to speak with the serial startup founders or business owners. Um, Recently, I just sat down with a startup founder who also based in New Jersey, who created, I think, a couple of business before. The insights, his journey that shared with me, extremely helpful. It's really, hands-on experience. Oftentimes when we're talking about startup, we only focus on those VC-backed business, right?
Mhm.
I would say, hey, we have a Nasdaq index company. We also have a Dow Jones and S&P 500. There are many other business owners out there. It's not necessarily tech supported. However, their experience always also, incredible, important for us to learn. It's very valuable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. It sounds like you really have a good network of experts in each different sector or each different area of the startup life to assist you, which is great to have that strong web to help you. And but you had mentioned how sometimes, I mean, it's tough. People are working full time. It's tough to get their attention ongoing. Just something that I wanted to throw out there is that I tried this website called Mentor Cruise that has you can pay per hour for a mentor. You meet maybe on a weekly, monthly basis. And at first, it sounds like, do I want to pay for a mentor? Wouldn't it be better to make connections? But I don't know. I tried it out, and it actually was very helpful. Since you are paying them, they really
Mm.
spend time and effort to try to help you out. So
Wow,
anyway,
I
it's not
will
something
definitely
to.
check it out.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and you can find someone ideally in the exact niche that you need mentorship in. So
Mm,
it's not like it just whoever you happen to meet, you can actually search them and select them based
mm.
on their background. So yeah, I found it to be pretty helpful actually.
Wow,
Yeah.
thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem at all. And yeah, you also mentioned about speaking with past founders. I know in my case in the dental space, I mean, that makes all the difference of all the pitfalls that you might have hit and spent like maybe months on wasted a lot of your time. It just takes a mentor, someone who's started a company in that industry before, to tell you, oh yeah, watch out for this, or you should try this instead, and you can save an enormous amount of time. So it can't be understated how helpful that can be. Yeah.
Right.
And what's ultimately your vision for the company? Do you see it as being sort of like the go-to app in the workplace, or just more of a general consumer app for anyone to consume?
So, as of today, I guess, our vision is trying to help everyone build resilient mental health through micro interventions. Long term, like I mentioned before, we see ourselves a provider of mental health infrastructure powered by data intelligence and technology. And this infrastructure can be used by a lot of insurance company, health plan providers, mental health providers, or even governments like those helpline system. The business should be also easily scaled globally since mental health is, the demand is rising everywhere in the world.
Absolutely. And do you foresee using any AI like chat assistants to assist with counseling? I know sometimes people well nowadays many people are just chatting with their virtual assistant, telling them problems that they might not feel comfortable telling another human being. And also the AIs, they can take as much time as they want as the user wants, and they'll never get impatient or run out of time. So is that something that you foresee becoming kind of very prominent in the mental health space?
AI is one of my favorite topics. Um, yes. So first of all, this is my view on AI technology. So I would like to borrow one sentence that I saw a while ago during the internet era. People say, internet is not a thing. It is a thing to the things.
Hmm.
Now, I would like to use that for AI as well, for our business.
Yeah.
Our business is not a technology company yet. We're not an AI powerhouse. We're a healthcare business.
Right.
So AI technology for us is the tools, the infrastructure help us uh, to get a better healthcare. Since we are in the mental health space, it's a human business. It's all about human being. We will only adopt the technology, including AI, that can make the business more human, not
Hmm.
less.
Gotcha.
So even early on, when I started building the business, I have a strong sense of a technology-driven business. I started interview a lot of AI business to see if any technologies out there we can adopt. Well, so we are still in the process. First of all, based on my own research, I found the AI technology, first of all, is amazing. It's definitely going to be, the next internet thing. We will probably live in that way. Um, and the second, right now, we're still fairly early in the AI area. A lot of the technologies come they come and go very fast. If I adopted this AI technology today, 6 months later, it could be yesterday's news. It's out of date quickly. So it's almost very difficult for a early stage startup to adopt any advanced technology at this stage, unless I sit on a pile of cash, which is not. um, for example, a while ago, last year, I went to a conference. I got the opportunity to sit down with the principal engineer at Google. Myself, I have a very high interest in the voice-based AI. So I remember 2 years ago, I saw the Google on the website. They literally have a separate website talking about the voice-based AI. But after maybe 12 months later, they took that off. So I got the opportunity to ask the principal engineer directly what is going on about the voice-based AI. So the short answer is the technology is not quite there yet. So so that's how, like I said, I've been always following up the industry, but we want to adopt a relatively mature technology into the business. Uh, the common AI tool like a chat box, etc., it's very easy to integrate. There are so many third-party API out there, right? You just have to pay. You don't have to create that in-house. So yeah, we are still, like looking around to what is actually must have. So in terms of the technology, rather than what's available out there, we want to start with what issues we have, we want to solve. Then we go after the technology. So that's how we approach the AI.
Yeah, it's a great point to make. I mean, there is all this hype around AI, and of course, as we said, it will be the future. But if you're building a product, the goal is as you said, to solve problems. And if you focus on just implementing some technology, I mean, it's a technology, it's not a product. It won't get you there by itself. You need
Exactly.
to make sure that you solve the problem first, and then from there, AI, from what I've seen, it's often very good at once you have a good process that works, you can improve it. But it's not by itself going to be a solution usually. You need to really familiarize yourself with the problem, talk with the customer, make sure that that pain point's being resolved um,
Mhm.
before anything else. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so but speaking of so yeah, you don't want to get distracted by technology that's constantly changing. You want to adopt it though still. So but what do you do though to stay on the forefront, the cutting edge? What do you think will help your product stay ahead in this rapidly changing industry?
Um, I would say, when the industry or the environment change quickly, it's quite disturbing, right? As a to our
It
startup
is.
founder, it was like, oh my God, what's next? Then I guess, in a rapid changing environment, what I want is always stick to the core.
Yeah.
So for our business, like I mentioned, the business itself is mental health. It's all about people,
Yeah.
human being, right? So human centric is at the core of our business. We do not want to change that part. So in order to stay the forefront of in the industry, we want to build a human centric business. Okay, so which is including, the specific feature, like I mentioned before, it's micro interventions on demand. We build a business around what exactly people need, not for the insurance company. right? Uh,
Right.
so that's a great example. So this is what we're trying to do.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah, no, that it definitely, I mean, in an age where everyone is so obsessed with the technology, the AI, it makes sense to focus on the human being because yeah, ultimately those are, as we mentioned before, those are your customers. Those are the people that you want to be able to relate to. So definitely that human to human contact. There's all these cues and things that we pick up on with other human beings that right now, I mean, it's very tough for AI to fill each of those little niches of different things that we pick up on when we talk to someone. So until it does that, then it definitely makes sense to have that human-centric approach.
Yeah, I can give you an example why we want to stick to the human-centric for this business. This is also, I saw somewhere people they talk about this. As you know, OpenAI since last year, they also created their own mental health business unit. And early this
Okay.
year, quite a few AI giants, they declared that they're gonna march into the healthcare. Uh, Anthropic, right, as well, OpenAI, and even Google. So it is, really, it's how to say, make the healthcare industries more competitive right now. So then last year we also see a lot of people using ChatGPT talk about their mental health. It really is such a big threat to the whole, mental health industry. ChatGPT easily increased several millions of users on the platform. They use that talking about mental health. Then the example that I want to give you is if you had a conversation with a therapist, when you ask about, hey, which is the tallest, the highest bridge in New York City? If you ask that question to a therapist, the therapist will immediately, well, what? You want to jump off the bridge? You want to commit suicide, right?
Right, right,
It's a very strong signal, for a preventive care if it's happened in a conversation in a human being therapy session. Well, if you get on the chat GPT, it will give you the highest bridge in New York City. It
right.
does not have any, signaling any preventive, that kind of a practice in place. So this is a great example why that I previously mentioned AI technology is not quite there yet, although we already made a lot of big breakthroughs.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I relate to that anxiety of feeling like everything's moving so quickly. You have all these big players creating their own products, pushing them into various spaces. And so, how can I hope to compete with that? But in this case, I think there may be some positive points to it because say if people are speaking a lot to their AIs, to their chat GPTs or Claude, whatever it may be about their mental health, then it's sort of like they're being primed to think more about their mental health. They're developing their sense of what mental health even is, and they'll have more of a sense of what is good, what is bad, and just be paying more attention to it in general. And if they're doing that, then well, then that's a much more developed customer for the mental health market than someone who
Mhm.
hasn't really spent much time talk with anyone about it. So I think overall it would make the US or anywhere people more receptive to other mental health products because they're more aware of what mental health is and what their own problems are. So I think that's maybe reason to be optimistic there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always a big believer of science and technology. In fact, a lot of the people in the mental health industry see that as a big threat. However, I saw this differently. I think it's a good thing. So a lot of the people, individuals, reluctant to seek therapy for their mental health. But now all of a sudden we found, wow, there are millions of people that get on ChatGPT actually talking about their
Right.
mental health. That means people they do need a mental health, right?
Yeah.
And it also give me very strong message about they get on the chat GPT most of the time is talking, talking, talking. I mean, another word is venting, right?
Yeah.
This also tells me probably people they go to therapist, they spend a lot of time just talking. And the therapist spend a lot of time just by listening instead of actually doing the treatment. If we have this great tool available, we can, that allow our therapist better use their time for treatment instead of listening. You see what I mean? Now
Right.
the chat GPT can take that part of job. It's actually a very, good way to disrupt this industry, can make the whole ecosystem more healthier. That's my
Yeah.
understanding, right? We could
Yeah.
better use the therapists, the real person's time, focus on the treatment, the strategies, the copings, right? Those things that technology cannot do.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of a definitely a common theme. Like the AI can take us part of the way there, but often when it comes right now at least when it comes to moving atoms, as they say, when it comes to doing physical things and in the real world, AI is not there yet. And so if people are becoming more aware of they have a good listener, the AI, and they're becoming more aware, then they now need the means or the products or the services in order to get out there and actually treat their mental health issues.
Yeah,
Um,
very
it,
true.
it's good to talk, but yeah, it's good to, of course, then follow it up with treatment. So, yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of spaces there for new startups to start new products and services that help with that treatment part of the mental health trip.
Yep.
And how's it been starting this startup in NYC? Has that been, of course, I always wonder, should I have moved to Silicon Valley? But not anymore so much. I don't, because things are starting to really, there's a lot of tech happening in New York. But how's it been for you?
I would say New York City is such a great place to start a business. I never been to Silicon Valley, so I don't know what is over there. Probably more capital available in terms of fundraising. But in New York City, to me, I mean, it's great. And this is a city, you are surrounded by many ambitious, capable, passionate founders. It really pushes you uh, to think bigger from day one. And it forces you to pivot and refine your business ideas every day, right? So I would say, it's great. And also the ecosystem is incredible. And community leaders like yourself, help to through organize events, hosting podcasts. There are plenty of resources available. I would say like in the New York City, literally every day you can find networking events to go to if you want, right? And I remember the Tech Week last year, like one single week, we have 500 events going on. That was insane. And the things that probably only happen in New York City or maybe Silicon Valley as well. I saw people flew from all of the world just to attend those events, then I was like, I really feel very privileged to be this area.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel like it's sort of like an events capital at least the country. And that's important because I mean that's when I feel like the most creativity happens is when you're talking to many different people and you're all exchanging ideas. I mean, there's definitely some magic happening there when you get all those ideas exchanging and people help each other out where their strength is and the other person may have a weakness. Filling all those gaps, it makes a huge difference. And there's enough people in this area, 8 million people in the New York metro area to really have a developed ecosystem as you mentioned. So and not just in tech, but all the spaces that you might want to create a tech product in are also here. So whether it's real estate or mental health as you're doing, there's many other industries in the city here that you can you can talk to those potential customers about their pain points and try to deploy product, which is a great advantage to have. So yeah, definitely, I have no regrets about staying in the area here.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Um, and what would you say? I mean, as far as I guess we talked about this a bit, but where do you see the mental health industry going? I mean, will we ultimately solve these problems? Will it be an ongoing thing? We pay more and more attention to our mental health, and it grows as it becomes more like an industry like exercises where everyone's doing it. We know it should be done, and it's just a matter of keeping good habits and keeping up with it.
Mhm. That's a very good question. Um, First of all, everybody trying to figure out this question.
Yeah,
So where does this go? The demand is out there. As we
yeah,
can see, we just talk about the chat GPT, the open AI, millions of people get on
right.
there. The, Everybody knows the market is huge, it's out there.
Yeah,
Um, but the barriers in this business, I would say currently we saw that is from the healthcare, the ecosystem itself, the
yeah,
payers, the providers, all these, comprehensive, the structures out there, really create a lot of difficulties for startup business to interrupt to make it better.
yeah,
Um, so one of the is also for the individual users. One of the biggest challenge for people to reach out to the service to use it is about the cost. It's expensive, right? The area where you and we are, like New York City, New Jersey, the hourly rate is between $100 to $200 per hour. It's
yeah,
very expensive. So because of that, so the mental health has, at a point, it stuck somewhere. Who's going to pay for it? Then
right.
in this business, those big providers like Talkspace, Lyra, those big providers, they massively got all the institutional clients through the network. So leave us small startup, early stages, very difficult to get into this space. Um, that is, for the healthcare itself, the mental health. Back to your question, if we use it as a separate care, optional, it's so difficult to make it become mental health like daily habit for the individual to adopt because it's so expensive, right? Only once it becomes part of the primary care. It's almost like the business you are in, dental or vision, right? It becomes available part of the package of the primary care. It can be truly, have positive impact on everybody's life. Otherwise, it's very difficult to move along. It's always the question is always who gonna pay for it, right?
Yeah.
So,
It's definitely true, and with so many issues in the healthcare and medical industry,
mhm.
insurance companies are creating a bottleneck or some kind of inefficiency or some kind of rigid structure that prevents us from innovating, which is the reason why many people have gotten, very angry with the insurance companies. But I mean, this is sort of not on the technology side, but I feel like what the issue may be, and this is more of a policy change that needs to fix it. But
Yes.
there's yeah, there's the way our insurance works. The insurance companies partner with the company that you work for, and so usually the way a marketplace might work is that if a product is bad, then you just switch to a better product, and then so that company's penalized for having a bad product. But no one's going to switch their job because they have bad insurance, and so there's no penalty for these insurance companies having these bad structures and bad service. So I think until that changes, it's going to be more of these issues. But yeah, hopefully, maybe in the meantime, there's some kind of technology issue that can somewhat resolve the issue. But I think definitely eventually there should be some policy change there.
Yeah, I guess the overall the trend seems to be good. There are new payer structure, the new things coming out, including the recent years, the ICRA, the payment, the new benefits package, the kind of structure roll out. A lot of other, more innovative the benefits idea. I think including the policy. I think the overall trends are good,
Yeah.
but I wish it can be a little bit faster.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I do see some, there are some like insurance startups. Oscar Health, I think is one of them. And they are more tech oriented or more, innovation oriented. So hopefully there's some disruption there and we can get some better service on the insurance side of things.
Mhm.
Yeah, next question. I just wanted to ask, what are some of the biggest challenges that you face? Of course, I always say the startup life is full of challenge. That's all it is challenges. But are there any that really stick out that you'd want to warn other people about?
Yeah, I guess most of the challenges that I have, I'm pretty sure is every startup founders have before. Um, and I remember I saw this video, Jeff Bezos uh, talking about his startup business, his Amazon. He says the hardest thing that he did in his life is raising the fund for the first $1 million. He has to reach out like 20 or 30
Right. Yeah.
individual investors, so each like a $50,000 check. He
Yeah.
said this is the hardest thing he has ever done in his whole life.
Wow.
The same thing, fundraising. And for female startup founders, the VC funding for the female startup founders is only 1.8%. It's
Oh,
like,
wow. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
close to nothing,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah. So it's extremely challenging, for female startups to get investors' attention.
Mm.
And so that's how, I did the research early on and I found the challenge is extremely high in terms of funding. So this whole time I've been bootstrapping and just focus on building the business and maybe the revenue as well. But after 2 years of building the business, I kind of feel increased the pressure from, the finance side, so
Yeah.
probably, I have to do something about fundraising at the point.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. So yeah, if there was another female founder that was starting now, would you have any advice to them as far as yeah, how to navigate that challenge, a lack of
Mhm.
funding for female founders? I mean, do you recommend just sticking to bootstrapping, or should they look to female investors? What's a good strategy, you think?
So, if I do it again or give advice to other female staff founders, I would say definitely you need to do your own research at the first place, right? So you have
Yeah.
to see what is the reality, then go from there. I wouldn't, easily give people advice. You should uh,
Yeah.
early on start fundraising or do whatever, it really depends on the individual. So for me, if I do it again, I probably still focus on building the service because I already know the 1.8% is really low. If I, put a lot of time and effort into the funding, it probably won't change that much, the result, the outcome. Um, but I would say, it just, have to plan ahead. If it's bootstrapping, trying to hang in there, stay as long as possible. Um, Now I'm at the stage, the early stage of the building the business. I would say, it's kind of a all good. The next stage is really how to sell and how to hang in there for the
Yeah.
business. um, I probably will have to start looking for funding for the business in order to, sustain the business. But meanwhile, I still want to put a lot more effort on the revenue side.
Yeah.
And I would say getting a co-founder, this is another common question. Should you get a co-founder at the beginning of the business?
Right.
A lot of people say you need a co-founder. Well, the truth is, solo founder, the percentage increasing year by year.
True. Yeah.
And co-founder that structure is pretty common in the VC-backed tech startup. But if you look at those business not backed by VC, solo founder is still pretty dominant of the structure. So really, your personal choice and also depends on your situation. So for me, I mean, early stage, um, given, many years industry experience, I learned the business, everything. I do have the experience and the skills to do a lot of things just myself and use Steve Jobs saying, go solo, go fast, right?
Mm.
So that really helps me, the last 2 years, I don't have to deal with, align with somebody else opinion, I can
Yeah.
just make decision in whatever way that I want. It really helps. But now at the point, I do want to uh, find a co-founder. Um, because like the sales or other aspect of the business, it would be great to have somebody complement to my skill set and experience. So I would say, yeah, so that's really based on my own situation.
Right. Yeah, and that gets back to what you first said. I mean, it really, and I like that advice that you really have to, while you want to take in advice from other people, you have to see what's really going on in reality around you right now because things do change so much and someone may give advice, but they're not taking in all the information that's directly around you though, that you take in every day. They're just getting a snapshot, what you've told them in one conversation, and then offering their advice based on that. So it's or even maybe you just saw a video on someone saw a video
Yeah,
online and there was some advice there. But that person has no idea what your circumstance is. So who knows what
right.
advice they would give if they did it or if they were in your shoes. So I definitely agree that it's you have to first and foremost see what is the reality around you and make decisions based off that. And yes, and if the reality is that there is limited funding, well at least the good thing I think is that if any company is making good revenue, then I think any investor will be interested in investing. I hope so. They should be. So that's what maybe that's becoming more and more true in general. From what I've heard is that investors aren't investing based off of a pitch deck or just a team, but they want to see revenue coming in. So yeah, maybe it makes sense to focus on just for anyone, male or female, to focus on just making revenue as a proof of concept first, and then from there, you'll have much better luck with investors.
Yeah, that's very true. I think the VC industry has a lot of changes going on as well. It's
Yeah.
not the same as, before the pandemic. That time, the e easy money has a lot of money getting to the VC. It's so
Yeah.
easy. I've heard a lot of, startup founders who built the business before the pandemic. You literally just based on idea, you can get a check. So
Yeah,
that
it's
those
crazy.
days are gone, probably.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. And yeah, what would you say is the most valuable insight that you've come across so far in your startup journey that you would pass on to someone else that's starting a company? I mean, we sort of went over this, but is there something we went over this when it comes to a female founder, but just in general, is there something that you learned and had you known that you would have saved like a year or something of your time or some large amount of time that would be great to pass on to someone else?
Sure. I think there are many things, I'd love to share, but
Yeah.
here I probably just want to talk about one thing I feel, I just figured out myself, and I think it can be very practical. So I come from the corporate world, then the startup world is completely different. It's almost like the opposite. Um, Very different. And work in the corporate world, especially in the finance, it's very structured. Every day, the work, the flow,
Yeah.
everything. While the startup, as a founder, solo founder, you decide your day. Um, you can start your day anytime. You can wrap up anytime. Um, and it's totally unstructured and it's so easily to be distracted by many things. I mean, those things, I mean, from the business. because you are, you have 10 different hats on, right? I'm my own lawyer. I'm my own engineer. I design my own product. I
Yeah.
do all my own sales marketing. Every aspect of the business, I have my own hands on, right? So it's very easy to be distracted. And we also have a lot of Zoom meetings every day. We meet different founders, advisors, investors. So that's how, by the nature of a startup business, I would say, organize it is very important. One thing I love that I have done that way is I do planning. I plan my week, my month, my quarter. I do not advise to plan anything more than that because things change rapidly in the
Sure.
startup,
Yeah.
right? So I was planning and I used to have this like a wallpaper. Then I write down my monthly and quarterly plan. And then keep notes. Keep notes. Anything important that you get from a meeting or talk or during the day you went to an event talking to someone, after you come back, write them down. And it's interesting, I have I put away, I have like a 20-ish stack of those scratch paper pad. I kept
Yeah.
everything on that. And once a while, make sure you go back to review those notes because sometimes you learned something quickly. You write down the notes, but you also forgot quickly, right? And once I found I was looking for this solution for this issue, I can't think of any. Then when I go over my notes, oh my God, somebody else already gave me this advice
Right.
3 months ago. It's right there. So that's actually the time, the effort you spent previously. Don't waste. And
Don't. Yeah.
also, yeah,
Yeah.
it can help to, help you to stay on track, stay focused. Don't lose the things, out of control. So build the progress of the business. You should always, stay on the track.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's very sound advice. It's so easy to get pulled in different directions when you're trying to start a company. I often find myself like thinking, oh, like the grass is greener on the other side kind of effect, where it's like, oh, should I be doing this instead of what I'm doing? And then you get pulled in another
Right.
direction, you start over, but then you just lost all your progress. So it really is important to make sure that you're allocating your time to the highest priority things in order to get a single, well-defined goal done so that you're not just swimming in many directions but not reaching any destination. Um and yeah, for the note taking, I mean, yeah, it's like it's a superpower, right? It's an extension of your memory to be able
Mhm.
to have those ideas. And the quickest way to do something is to realize that you've already done it and spend no time on it, right? So so
Yeah.
and especially these days, which I haven't done this myself yet, but when you were talking about taking notes, I realized that yeah, I mean these days you could take all of your notes, put it into a single document over
Mhm.
time, and then have an AI recall that. So like ask your AI, have I run into this issue before? And then it could look at all your notes and tell you, oh yeah, here on
Mhm.
whatever this date you ran into that. And I think that would be a great technology or a great use of AI to leverage your notes and your past things that you've learned from other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, Carrie, it's been a pleasure having you on here. I love learning about your application. Mental health is, I mean, it's incredibly important. It's something that's overlooked, and it's really the only thing that we have. I mean, we outside of your mental experience, there is nothing else, right? So why don't we, it makes sense to spend some time taking care of it and making sure that you're having quality thoughts, good feelings, and not feeling miserable every day. So, yeah, thanks for taking that initiative.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon. Thank you for this opportunity and I hope to see you at one of your future events.
Yeah, yeah, you're always welcome. No charge. Next one you can come for free. And a couple weeks now, I think there's a health tech one, so that could be a good one to go to.
That sounds
But
great.
but yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks, Carrie, and yeah, see you then.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon.